Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, the reports of my demise must have been exaggerated because if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide ranging variety of industry professionals and pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more. Excuse me, in a light and conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm assuming you do because you're listening to us right now. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google. It is all good. And plus, you can give us a like and subscribe over at our YouTube channel as well at In the Seats, where we archive every single one of our episodes. Also, we'd love it if you'd follow us on social media. You can do that at In the Seats, either at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or at It's Podcast One. And also, you can find us on the TikTok at In the Seats. But finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, mostly film, but television from all across the world, and festivals too. With TIFF coming up, it'll be your one-stop shop for festival reviews, so I do recommend you come on by and give us a read because you know we appreciate it. On this episode, boy, we got a good one. I've been off the grid a little bit, been recording a lot, but it's time to start publishing because in theaters tomorrow, we are talking with one of the stars of Flag Day, which is directed by Sean Penn, and stars Sean Penn, and it stars Dylan Penn, and it's a really fascinating film because it's the story of Jennifer Vogel and her father, John, who was larger than life, and as a child, Jennifer sort of marveled at his magnetizing energy and ability to make life feel big and make everything feel like an adventure. He taught her a lot about love and joy and happiness, but this man was living a double life. He was also a bank robber, and he was the most notorious counterfeiter in U.S. history, and this is based on a true story. It's a real interesting film about family, and it's got sort of echoes of filmmakers like Terrence Malick. It's got a real distinct look to it, and if you want a real kind of thoughtful humanistic drama, this is a pretty good watch. But it is, like I said, it's starring Sean Penn, and he's playing opposite his daughter Dylan Penn for the very first time, so that makes it that much more interesting. But we also got to talk with Canada's own Katheryn Winnick, who plays a real big part in the film, and she is really one of Canada's best exports, and she's a fantastic actress. And we had the distinct pleasure of talking with her about just sort of getting involved in this project and sort of embracing sort of the filmmaking spirit and sort of what she learned on set and just how she applies these things to projects that she directs and what she wants to do going forward. And she is one of our country's more fascinating exports, and she's a fantastic person to talk to. And I hope you enjoy our talk, because I know I did. But and make sure that you go see Flag Day, which is in theaters all across Canada, or select ones anyway, this coming Friday, August 27th. But first off, enjoy our talk with Katheryn.
Now, I mean, obviously, first off, thank you for the time today. I really enjoyed the film, and it was beautiful.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, I guess my first question is, walk me through sort of how you got involved, the story of sort of how this hit your inbox and you learned about it, and then go on from there.
I heard about this film being made for a few months before my agent sent me the script. And I remember Tracy Brennan, my agent at CEA, sent me the script over the weekend. She's like, you must read this ASAP right now, drop everything and read it. And when I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be part of this story. It's just such a heartwarming, heart-wrenching story that I just wanted to be a part of. And I ended up calling my agent. I'm like, well, get me a meeting with Sean. I would love to get a chance to meet him face to face and tell him why I want to play Patty. And at that point, I know he was interviewing some actresses, and he had someone already set and on his mind. So I didn't get the opportunity to meet him right away, but I ended up dropping him an email because I met him before, we were friends, and I said, what do I need to do? And I got on a plane and I met him in Minnesota literally the very next day. And we had a 4-hour meeting over lunch with the producer, William Horberg, and pretty much gave him my pitch and how I saw Patty, and he hired me on the spot. So here I am.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm curious when especially when you're playing a real person, do you like how much like do you get to do any research, or is it just a question of you try to sort of make it a combination of the two and how you see the character going forward?
Oh, no, for sure. It's a true story based
Yeah,
on Vogel's life, and Jennifer was very much involved in terms of prep and being on set. And we had a great dialogue. She sent me a lot of pictures of her mother and talked about how she was throughout the years and how she really did her best and tried under the circumstances. And it's a very complex relationship, obviously, between Patty and her daughter Jennifer, and that was hard to really justify some of the creative choices that I had to do as an alcoholic and not necessarily the most moral character in the movie, but I think at the end of the day, that's why I loved the very last scene when Jennifer came to visit her now as an adult. There was a lot of forgiveness, and it was a full circle, and she got a chance to really tell her story that she really did the best that she could.
fantastic. No, I mean, I'm curious because I mean, obviously they'll say on some jobs it'll feel like a very much like a family dynamic, but in this case it literally was a family dynamic, and I'm kind of curious, did that change the dynamic at all, especially when sort of when you're in the middle of it all working?
Well, it was very intimate way of shooting in a lot of ways. One, we were in Winnipeg, where if you've ever visited Winnipeg, I'm sure being from Toronto, it's a small town, and so but Sean and the entire cast and crew got together for game nights and dinners and got really created a family atmosphere, which was really nice. That not only off camera but also created that intimate bond on camera. And it was a bit intimidating, obviously, because it's a true story about a father-daughter's love story, and playing the mother and the ex-wife that comes in was intimidating in a lot of ways because it's a very interesting family portrait. But I absolutely love the entire experience. Sean had a no phone policy on set, which allowed us a lot of time to really sit with ourselves
For sure.
and connect in a lot of ways. And being directed by Sean was one of my favorite experiences so far as an actress. And I couldn't be more proud of this film, and got a chance to be a co-producer on it, which I'm very proud of as well. And now seeing the world really get this movie out there, I'm very proud of it.
Now that kind of dovetails into my next question, because as an actor who has directed, being directed by an actor, I'm kind of curious, was there an opportunity for you to sort of take notes in the moment and sort of how to sort of apply things to maybe the next time you get to direct, or was it just a question of you have to reflect on those things kind of after the fact?
Oh no, definitely. I'm always taking notes for sure. Being a young director and seeing Sean in his element in playing both roles really as an actor
Yeah.
in the movie and putting on his directing hat, it was so inspiring just to see how seamlessly he was able to play both roles, really. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's extremely challenging, but I feel that it is the best directors are actors that have that experience, have that language to be able to talk to the actors a certain way, and to be able to step back and tell the overall emotional arc of the story as a director is definitely something that Sean did. And I came home every night and I wrote down in my journal on how he did things, and I'm sure I'll look back at that when I get a chance to direct myself right now, hopefully on Big Sky and on other future projects.
Now, I mean, I'm curious because I mean, not only with this, but I mean, with some recent jobs that you've had working with Liam and with Sean here, how do you balance sort of the professional sort of being in there and doing the job versus the wanting to be the fan and sort of ask and sort of learn and kind of sort of get knowledge from, I get like people like Sean, people like Liam who have been in the business and just had these really sort of iconic careers. How do you sort of manage wanting to sort of do the work and sort of be present in the moment versus sort of trying to get advice and sort of look at other things going forward like that?
I think it's a combination of experience and making strong creative choices as an actor, so then you can trust your preparation and then just let go and seeing what comes in the moment. And also, once you made those strong choices, then you can be confident in your prep and to be able to see things differently and allow yourself to grow and take notes if you as a young director or as a producer. And that's a constant evolving thing. There's some days where you're really focused on the material and preparing for a director and making each moment count, that you can't necessarily step away and saying, okay, how is this set up, or what do we need to do to cover this scene right. You just need to stay in the moment as an actor. Then there's other times where you trust the process and you can step away and see things under a different lens as a director or producer.
How does getting a job like Vikings sort of change your perspective as an actor? Because I'm always kind of curious. Because on one end, like if you're getting like a one shot on an episode, or if you're working a movie, it's going to be a fixed amount of time. You're going to be with the character for sort of a clear cut sort of in and out. But on a show like Vikings, obviously you've got years. And I mean, how does sort of the process change when you have to sort of evolve a character that's going to sit with you for a while?
Well, when I first signed on to Vikings, I was originally supposed to sign on just for a couple years. It wasn't
Right.
7 years. But I knew the relationship I started building with Michael Hurst was extremely strong and very collaborative, that we would sit for hours over dinner going over script or talking about real life and adding a lot of me into Lagertha. And I think that was was one of the reasons why Lagertha became such an iconic character, because it really was an extension of myself, and I brought so much of my personal experience into creating her legacy. And once you're that involved creatively, I feel that you're so invested that you want the success of the show to continue, and you want to continue to explore different layers of her throughout the years. And that was such an iconic role that I was able to tell her story through many different decades. As a farmer and a young mother and a queen and an earl, and losing it all, and now as a grandmother and shield maiden. So it was one of those roles that's a once in a lifetime thing, and it would be really hard to replace. So when I sign on to projects, it's tricky because sometimes it's a blind faith. You need to go with, and hopefully you're with good, talented people that are just as invested as you are in trying to make the best project as possible. One of the reasons I signed on, pretty much the only really real reason I signed on to Big Sky right now, which I just started shooting season 2, was because of David E. Kelly and having him on board as the visionary and the showrunner. And so that's still yet to transpire on screen in terms of where my character is going to go. But Flag Day for me was an easy project in terms of knowing for sure that I wanted to sign up for it because of the talent attached, because of Sean Penn and the producers, and the fact that it was an intimate story of the family's really family portrait was really attractive to me. And to get a chance to co-produce it was also a great learning curve.
When you hit that point, is that basically the reward of the job, to sort of not necessarily have to take a job for the money and take the job for the creative? Because I mean, I'm sure every actor has had their job that they've taken where it's like, okay, it's not that good, but it's paying well. But like, how do you sort of balance sort of the day-to-day realities of, taking a good paying job versus the sort of maybe more the creatively rewarding jobs?
Oh gosh, if we were also lucky to be only taking jobs creatively, would be the dream. But if you look at even in my IMDb, I've done like 60 things. Sometimes you need to work brings work, and it's an experience that you don't, when I started off in this business, I knew absolutely nobody. I
Right.
worked for cattle calls, and one of the very first things I ever got cast in was Bravo's first reality show called The It Factor. They interviewed 2,000 actors, wannabe actors at that point, on a cattle call, really, out of Backstage West, I think it was. And they picked 12 actors that I think are going to make it. And this is before really having much acting experience, but you can see the struggle of really going in and
Right.
over and over and trying to master the audition game. And then once you master the audition game, then you have to master it on set. And that experience is absolutely invaluable. That was my path to where I got to. Some people get very lucky, obviously Dylan Penn, having her father her and having him know her so well to pull out the best performances, was so magical and absolutely amazing. And she did such a fantastic job. It was really remarkable to see. And everybody has their own journey, and I wouldn't trade mine for the world, because it gave me the if some people think it's an overnight success, and it really never is. It's hours and years and countless amount of preparation it takes to get that shot and getting those.
Sure. Now, this is a silly question, but it's something I always like to ask. Can you think back to sort of the younger years? Was there a movie or a show or like a work that you saw when you were younger that was sort of the pivot point for you and made you want to say, okay, I'm going to be an actor?
I think there was a few different moments really for me. I started off teaching actors martial arts on movie sets. I was a martial arts trainer, and I had a chain of martial arts schools in Toronto called Winkai Martial Arts. So I got a chance to come on set and seeing how every day is different and how you can learn and grow every single day as an artist. So that was really attractive to me. But when I was much younger, I would go to Saturday school, Ukrainian school, and when I would come home, I would watch Annie. Anything, just seeing this orphan really reach for the stars and create her own reality was, I haven't seen it in years. I need to go back and watch it. But I remember literally reciting every line in that movie, and just seeing how everything is a possibility, and you can think big and dream big. And that's something that I always did and continue to do, and I hope to grow.
Well, keep dreaming and keep doing the good work, and congratulations on a beautiful film. And thank you again so much for the time today.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.